Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like, you dislike, or even if you just want to outsmart me on something I said, go ahead, shoot me a quick call, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. Speaking of episodes, shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So, I don't know about you, but hey, the fall is coming around and the baseball season. Them tickets are super cheap. So get that $20 off. Go ahead, create an account and get it going. So anyway, look, man, we joined by a special guest today, man. Thomas Tyree from On the Hot Podcast is here with me today. What's going on with you, Thomas? How you feeling, man?
Good, man. I'm glad to be back on your podcast, man. Thanks for having me on today.
Of course, man. I'm glad to have you back because, hey, it's a lot of stuff we got to discuss, bro. I mean, the season is right here. The season is coming to a start of the NFL season. There's a lot of excitement about different things, and I'm going to just get straight to it, bro. One team in this particular conference over in the NFC, a couple different teams, actually, we see they're in the same state. So I'm trying to just figure out who's the best in this state because you got one team they're making a lot of noise. They're all in the media every day. They trying to get contracts done. They signing people. People think they're going to the Super Bowl, apparently. I don't know. And then you got the other team over in Texas. They just very quiet. They're very meticulous about it. They had some success last year, but now they on the road to redemption. They got young talent. They done added some talent, and ain't nobody saying the sound about them. So if you don't know who I'm talking about the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. And I got to know, bro, who's the best team in Texas right now? Who is that?
Yeah, I got to say, as a Cowboys fan, unbiased opinion, it is the Houston Texans. I feel like they are the best team in Texas.
Okay.
They went farther than us last year after being the second worst team in the league. They actually won a playoff game last year compared to us. But they got much better this offseason. Like you said, they block out the noise and they're ready to get going, pick up where they left off last year. Meanwhile, us, Jerry Jones and company, barking up for contracts, being in the media for the wrong reasons, wrong purpose. But the Texans, they did have one hell of an offseason. They acquired Joe Mixon. They acquired Stephon Diggs and Danielle Hunter. That's going to be some key pieces to help this Houston Texans team go a long way this upcoming NFL season. So I think they're the best team in Texas for sure.
Okay, all right. I'm glad you can at least admit it, bro. If you can admit it, every other Cowboys fan should be able to admit that. But I am curious, though, because, I get on the Cowboys a lot, but I think, above all, like they still have a chance to make something happen. And I still say that division is up for grabs. Because especially when the Giants is so bad right now, you definitely ain't got to worry about them at all. And then the Eagles are a team where, they're kind of hit or miss. Last year, we seen them start off really, really hot. And then all of a sudden they kind of just fell to the bottom of the map and didn't really get anything done. So in terms of Cowboys being able to secure that division again, do you think that's possible?
I do think it's possible because, like you said, the Giants aren't going anywhere. I'm scratching my head about the Commanders. I don't think they'll be a threat. So I think it's going to be a two-team race between the Cowboys and Eagles. I do believe it's 50-50. I just don't see them winning the division this year, only because I feel like history is going to play a part of it. Our division, we haven't had a division winner back-to-back times since 2004, bro. It's crazy stat, but I think the Eagles are going to take it this year in our division.
You know what? I really don't know who I would want to take it because Cowboys fans, I don't really like the Cowboys, as you know. Eagles is just as bad. Eagles is just as bad. So, honestly, if I know it's not happening, but if the Giants somehow put it together and, oh man, Daniel Jones, I doubt it, but Yeah, it would come on, man. It would be crazy if that was to happen. But yeah, I think that would probably satisfy me most if I did witness that. But going back to like the entire NFC though, it's a lot of competition. Things are heating up, and people are saying the comp is close to each other. So you got 49ers, Lions. I think the Atlanta Falcons is going to be good this year because they got a lot of new pieces, new quarterback in town and all of that stuff. So out of all the teams in the NFC, which one do you think is the best at the moment?
I got to go with the 49ers still, only because last year they basically beat all the contending teams. Playoffs or regular season, they beat the Lions, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Eagles. They beat all those teams. So right now, they technically have these teams' numbers right now. I still say in the NFC, they got the best roster from top to bottom, offensively and defensively. So I'm going to say until proven otherwise, 49ers are still the best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that. My heart is telling me that I think Detroit is probably the best team, but also I'm just still not sure because obviously, they retain most of the talent they had, but I'm just not sure if they still have enough receiving options. And I want them to get at least one more solid receiver that can be picked up during the free agency. But San Fran, they've been the top dog. They were top 5 in passing. They were top 5 in total yards as well. So it's hard to kind of eliminate them from that top spot in the NFC there. But I am curious. Do you think we see something from Brock Purdy? He had a lot of controversy last year of, Brock Purdy is that guy. He's not that guy. And he showed me, personally, I think Brock Purdy showed me in the playoffs that, all right, hey, he's got some skill. It's not fluke. It's not just Kyle Shanahan. So I do want to hear your thoughts on if we'll see a different type of season from Brock Purdy that sets him apart from the narratives of, it's Kyle Shanahan doing the numbers right now.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a similar season to what he had last year. And the MVP race, it's really a quarterback race now for the MVP award. But he was in the mix with guys like Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott, not only because of his record, but what he was doing offensively to help the 49ers win ball games. So I think that he's cleared the narrative of being a system quarterback or somebody that's just in Kyle Shanahan's offense like Jimmy Garoppolo was. But, yeah, I think Brock Purdy's going to have one hell of a season. I think he's arrived and showed that last year.
Okay, yeah, that's facts. I can agree with that too. And I say he's gonna have a good season because of what I seen in that Packers game. Because that was a crazy game. Just kind of going back to that playoff game between the Niners and the Packers. It was close, and it was just a great comeback win on the last drive from the Packers, and it changed my whole perspective on Brock Purdy. I'm like, I seen him play good, I seen him play bad, obviously, but I'm like, for him to show up in the clutch, that was huge. So anyway, look, let's move over to the AFC because AFC, they got some dogs over here, and arguably the toughest division right now is that AFC North with the Steelers and all of that. Is it possible that we see some change in the AFC North pertaining to the Ravens winning that division again and the Ravens continuing to be top dogs in that division as we seen last year? Do you think one of those other teams is going to show up?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think anybody really has a chance to win this division. I mean, they're all capable of it. It's the best division in football for a reason. I don't think the Ravens are actually going to win this division this year. I'm leaning toward Bengals. Look, a healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, he gets his deal done, and T. Higgins on the field. When they're all healthy, I'm looking at this team, and I'm looking at how they revamp their offensive line. Their defense is underrated. I think they could give anybody in this division a run for their money. So give me a Joe Burrow healthy. I'll take him over any quarterback in this division for sure.
Any quarterback, including Lamar Jackson?
Look, I got Lamar and Joe Burrow like neck and neck. I'll put Lamar over Joe Burrow only because the fact Joe Burrow has a history of being healthy and things like that. But if they're both healthy on the field, give me Joe Burrow over Lamar Jackson.
Okay, I'm not completely mad at that. And that was a big reason why I was saying Lamar Jackson over Joe Burrow as well. But, I mean, you're pretty much right about the Bengals, bro. This division is a toss-up here. It does not belong to any team in particular just because, I mean, both teams are evenly stacked. And I say both teams meaning, obviously, Ravens, Bengals. But there's a team, too, that not many people have been talking about, and it's almost like their redemption year. The Browns. Now, hey, they've been rough, but people sleep on the Browns and they don't realize that they still have a top defense in this conference and in the NFL. I believe they were number one, or at least top 3 the entire NFL season last year. So they dominated, and they still clearly only just needed a solid quarterback play in terms of making it work there. So with Deshaun Watson coming back from all of his stuff, finally he's keeping his hands to himself. What do you think it can be in the future for the Cleveland Browns here? Because they got the talent, but what do you think it can be in the future for them in this division? Can they win it?
Yeah, it's very winnable for sure. They got all the pieces offensively, defensively, especially when Nick Chubb comes back after the first 4 weeks of the season. It's really going to come down to Deshaun Watson playing well. If he could get back to how he used to play with the Houston Texans years ago. If not, I don't see this team going far because he hasn't really shown that he is worth $230 million with this Browns team. Facts. So if he could show that and play well, I think the division, they could win this division for sure. They got the talent and everything to do so.
Yeah, so that's the thing, man. Look, with Deshaun Watson, I'm all in on, I want to trust it. I want to trust, like, he's a solid quarterback. We know what he can do. Like, I want to trust it. But the thing that makes this difficult for me in terms of trusting what Deshaun Watson can do is the fact that the man only played 12 games in 2 years. That's not a lot of football. That is not a lot of football at all. I mean, that's and not even like 12 games in one season. It was 6 games in the past 2 seasons. So he hasn't really gotten a good rhythm. And coming into this upcoming season, I'm like, is he going to be able to be solid and be consistent and honestly be present for the team? Because they're going to need him. And if he's not there, I think that's all their chances. But obviously, we know they got a better chance than the Steelers. I think it's safe to kind of wipe the Steelers out the picture. But I do want to ask, because we're still in this division of the AFC North, did they make the correct decision starting Russell Wilson over Justin Fields?
I'm going to say they did, because really for this Pittsburgh Steelers team to be successful, all you really need is a quarterback that can actually move the ball down the field, put points on the board. Their team the Steelers are going to stay afloat this year because they got a really good defense. They got Mike Tomlin, who refuses to have a losing season. So they got everything really needed. I mean, they do got question marks on the offensive side of the ball, but you can win games with Russell Wilson. I think he puts them in a better position to win games and compete in that division compared to what Justin Fields can offer at this particular time.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. That was part of the reason, too, I thought this was the correct decision. And I was also thinking, like, long-term down the season. I don't think any quarterback is going to be the franchise quarterback for the Steelers. But I'm like, say Russ does come out and he's playing bad, he's playing awful. At least you got a younger guy in Justin Fields who's, like, going to be able to come off the bench with an edge on his shoulder. Like, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Like, hey, I was sitting on a bench and I'm a starter, so let me come out and I can play harder. Like, I think he just will come off the bench with a little more fire than what Russell Wilson, someone who's won a Super Bowl and already established himself in the league, would like come off the bench and like try and prove himself. So that was like part of my reason for that. But above all, I still think their season is going to be destructive. It's going to be rough, man. I don't think they'll really have a great season this year. But in terms of seasons, we got the opener coming up, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. This is the season opener for the NFL. I know who I'm picking. I know who I think is going to win this. But I got to know, who are you rolling with for this first week matchup in the season opener between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens? Who are going to win that matchup?
Oh, man, the NFL couldn't have cooked it up better with an opening game of the Chiefs and Ravens. I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Okay.
They have, majority of the time, they do have this Ravens team, their number. Patrick Mahomes normally gets the best of Lamar Jackson. I like the Chiefs matching up defensively against the Ravens offense. I like the matchup, Trent McDuffie matching up against Zay Flowers. I think that's a good wide receiver cornerback matchup. The Chiefs pass rush, I think they're going to get home to Lamar Jackson and contain him in the pocket, limit what he could do with his legs. Wow. So I'm leaning towards the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I think their defense is going to be the reason why they win this game.
Yeah, that's an underrated aspect, bro. Their defense was solid, bro. They were number 2 in defensive yards allowed last year, right behind the Cleveland Browns. But that was an underrated aspect of their defense, just because I mean, everything has always been so Mahomes focused that people don't even pay attention to the other areas of their game. But I was also going with the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. I don't know why, but somewhere down the line, my mind changed. And this is why my mind changed. So at first I'm like, okay, Kansas City Chiefs gonna win. But then I'm like, you know what? Let me remember. This is the regular season. And the Baltimore Ravens, we know what they do in the regular season. They look impeccable. So I think coming out in week 1, the Ravens gonna look dominant. They gonna want payback. It's gonna be grudges, all of that. They gonna be fired up, and they gonna end up winning. Maybe not by much, maybe not even at all. But I'm expecting the Baltimore Ravens to win because they went out so sorry against the Kansas City Chiefs last year in the playoffs. So it's like they have to show themselves. They have to be better than what everyone else remembered them as, because all last season, we held them on a high pedestal. We said they were number one. We said this was the best football we've seen in a long time, the best team roster-wise in a long time. And then they get to the playoffs. They forget how to run the ball. They forget the play call that works for them. They play the Chiefs. They fold like tissue. Like, it was just insane to watch. So I'm really thinking that they come back out with a different game plan and a more effective game plan. And I also think they'll utilize Derrick Henry, and it may shake things up a little bit for them. So it'll be interesting to see, though. Above all, we know that the Chiefs, they about to go for this three-peat. And I think they're going to get it. I think they're going to get it. They done picked up different options at the receiving end. They still got a solid defense and all these other things that's really working out in their favor. It's just the fact of, can they get it done? So I got to ask you, can the Chiefs get this done, three-peating for the first time in NFL history?
This is a tough question because I think they're capable of doing it. But then I look at all these great teams that failed to do it. I think about the 90s, the Cowboys, that dynasty failed to do it with Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. Then I think about the dynasty of the Patriots of Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. They couldn't do it. So it's like, I don't want to say they can't, but they can, because Patrick Mahomes is so successful in the playoffs. He's 15-3 in the postseason, 5 straight AFC Championship appearances, back-to-back Super Bowl champions. It's like, you can't go wrong with either right or wrong answer. So I see that, but I don't know. I really don't know about this one.
Yeah, this was tough. I think Pat has surprised everybody so far, so early on in his career. I think he gets it done, bro. I would love to see it, because I just want to see history in the making. Like, I just think it would be dope. 12, 20 years from now, you get to say, man, I seen the three-peat when Pat Mahomes, no quarterback is better than him. Like, you get to be that old head that's standing tall on what he's seen happen. So like, I want to see Pat Mahomes three-peat. I think it would be the greatest thing ever to witness. But can it be done? It's going to be tough, because, I mean, Ravens, everybody's tired of getting beat by Pat Mahomes, especially in the AFC. Like, he is the team to beat right now, and everybody is pissed off. I mean, only person who's gotten past him was Joe Burrow, right? So
yeah, facts.
It's gonna be tough, man, and people gonna really put their money on Joe Burrow to get it done. And I'm gonna leave it like this, man. So we joined the fantasy league, and when do you know when I see you in that fantasy league, bro?
I gotta look at it. I haven't looked at the schedule, but everybody's set them play each other at least one time before the playoffs start.
Yeah, I didn't really even get to see who was all in your squad, because I was trying to look for it. But, obviously I want to talk a little trash, make things fun. But want to make things fun, but I didn't even get to look at it. But I'm looking forward to whatever week we play in fantasy.
Yeah.
And that week, I might have to have you on here. I might have to come on your platform and talk a little trash, because hey, man, I'm looking forward to winning. I feel like I got a squad, at least from what I drafted. But
I seen you what you drafted.
Are you checking me out? Okay, you seen the Christian McCaffrey. Of course, we knew that was coming with the first pick.
Yeah,
we knew that was coming. Would you? And I'm gonna just say this, because I ain't gonna have you pull up your team and all of that. Who'd you pick for your first pick in fantasy?
First pick, I actually had a lot of ways I could have went, because I had the third pick. I went with the route of CeeDee Lamb. I had my fingers crossed because it was an anxious moment just in case if he wasn't ready for week 1 with that contract situation. So I was going to pick Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
But my friend Ethan picked him second. So I said, I got to just pull the trigger and get CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
But yeah, he was my first pick.
Okay. All right. I got some confidence in that. That makes me think twice about when I play you because CeeDee Lamb gonna put up some numbers. He gonna put up some numbers. So no, I'm excited about that, man. I think I got Jake the first round, and man, his squad low key they already projected him to be a little bit better than mine, but he got a little squad over there. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I'm like, oh, it's getting scary, but. But other than that, man, look, that's about all I have for you today, bro. Let the people know where they can find you. If they want to check out On the Hop podcast, where can they look at you and find you on the socials?
Yeah, you guys can check us out on Instagram at On the Hop 08, TikTok as well, On the Hop 08, YouTube On the Hop 08. Our Apple podcast is On the Hop 06. I tried to change from 06 to 08, but Apple wouldn't let me. So you can check us out on Apple Podcasts as well. Check us out on all 4 of those platforms.
Absolutely. Well, look, man, I appreciate you coming on here. Definitely love kicking it with you every time. I'm looking forward to the NFL season. Of course, I'm going to have to bring you back on and just talk about what's going on, especially once the Cowboys get eliminated from the playoffs. I'm going to have to just I'm going to have to pick on you then and just, go ahead and get a little bit of a bully on once they do. But even if they have some success, I'll bring you back too because I'll be talking crazy about the Cowboys. Anyway, look, man, hey, I appreciate y'all for tuning in or hanging with us all this time. Anyway, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And then shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode as well. Go ahead and get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. And this code can only be applied for the first time users on the mobile app or website. So you got to go ahead and create that account and get started. Other than that, man, look, hey, I'm going to be back later on next week. The start of the NFL will be here. I'm super excited for it. But, hey, man, we're going to be fired up next week. And other than that, I will be back. And so on and so on and so on.